All right, so today I'm going to explain to you how teachers teach every kid. As you know, um, every kid is different, and every kid has different strengths, and they learn in different ways. And before I get started here, I'm going to say that I'm going to be talking to my nephew Nolan, and I also bring in my niece Cordelia into the story here. Um, So back to the explanation. So like I said, I'm going to explain to you how teachers teach every kid and what happens if some kids don't learn it. And what happens if some kids do learn it? What do we do? Do we just, have them hang out? I don't know. Um, so first, let's say I'm going to teach you how to bake cookies, and you need to be able to do it on your own. So instead of me teaching you, saying, I'm going to give you a half hour, and that's all we're going to take on baking cookies. And we'll just do our best. We'll rush through it and make sure, and I'll try to make sure that you know how to do it. Um, and so then after a half hour, either you have learned it or you haven't learned it. We're moving on. I mean, that doesn't make as much sense now, does it? Uh, However, if I were to say, I'm going to teach you how to bake cookies, and I'm not going to worry about the time as much, and we'll do it as best we can in the amount of time that we have, and we'll try to take not a week. Um, so let's say it takes a couple hours, and you know how to bake cookies. And that way I can, as we go through it, I can teach you all the skills and figure out what are your learning strengths, and go from there. Um, and of course, when you learn how to bake cookies, you can use those skills to bake other things. Now, um, so let's say that you uh, let's say that your cousin Cordelia learns in a different way. She is more of a visual person because I know you, Nolan. I know that you are a great listener and can learn that way. Now, maybe Cordelia needs to see it before they do something. And that's something that I have a strength in visual. I need to see it before I can learn it. If I'm just hearing it, I have a really hard time. I have to write it down or draw a picture. And so maybe I could draw a picture out of each of the steps. There's those really cool cooking videos online. Maybe I can show her a cooking video. And that way she can learn that way. So that's just maybe one or two ways that kids will learn differently. Um, and let's say that, Nolan, I teach you the first time around and you did not learn how to bake cookies. I would need to figure out what specifically didn't you learn. Maybe was it the measuring? Maybe was it how to crack an egg? I would specifically find out what you didn't learn so then you could bake cookies. Um, and so if you needed more help on measuring and maybe you didn't know what a cup was and what's a half cup, maybe I have to teach you some math and get some math involved and make sure that you know what the different measurings are, the tablespoon and the teaspoon. Um, so I would go through and make sure that what specific skill do you need to be able to bake cookies? um, and let's say that you have learned it. What if you already know how to bake cookies? I'm not going to teach you again how to bake cookies. Uh, at the very most, I would make sure that you remember certain skills, and okay, then we'll move on. And maybe I could teach you how to bake a layer cake, or maybe I can move on to cooking and how to cook certain things. I would look for you, Nolan. I would look to see what you could improve on and what kind of skills um, can we jump to, and so you can learn more and more. Um, so let's say you are having trouble with measuring. Let's say you're having trouble with measuring out some flour or just measuring anything. And I would have to specifically target what troubles are you having. Maybe you haven't learned certain skills in math, and I have to go back and teach those skills to you. And so I would look at what you specifically need, and um, for me to teach you. And let's say that I teach you and you're still not quite sure how to do it. Well, then I would go back and I would perhaps find another teacher that teaches cooking, or teaches certain aspects of math, some kind of person that maybe is a better teacher than me in certain areas. And so I would look to those teachers to maybe teach you and maybe a small group of kids that are also not quite sure how to bake cookies yet. And so we look at those skills and look at your strengths, and where you can improve on. And so that is really how teachers teach kids. And looking at, what do we do if the kids have not learned it? What do we do if the kids have learned it? And that is really how teachers nowadays are teaching our kids.